want to know how to make this from an old scrap of wood, it's actually an old fence post, and this video is going to show you. In fact, you can probably make it better than I did. I got the idea from my friend's website, Dirty Roots Berlin. My houseplants are always all over the place and it kind of gets a bit messy, so as soon as I saw it I thought I have to try and make this because I've always got spare scraps of wood lying around too. I wanted to make it out of things that anyone can get hold of, so I started to use just the spade bits that I already had. I started off with a 28mm bit just to check how that would work with a boiling tube. Often these are referred to as test tubes, but they're 24mm wide. So the 28mm bit, it just drops through, it's no good. It rattles about like a dick in a top hat. I got a 25mm bit, it was probably a little bit too tight, but it was enough that I could work with it. It's just that I had to be really accurate when I was drilling if I didn't have a drill press. Without a bench mounted drill or a drill press, it's really difficult to get a completely vertical hole into the piece of timber. But if you concentrate, you can do a pretty good job of it, even though glass is really unforgiving. These are the ways that I tried. First of all, started off with just drawing a square line down the timber. That helped quite a bit. See, it's kind of okay. This one that I didn't do it with, you can easily tell that it's miles out. So when I was working with this little piece of 3x2, I noticed that there was a chunk missing from the bottom, which I actually quite liked. I thought it added to the character. Originally I was planning to use this piece of 4x3, but I wanted to try and get a piece of timber that I could distress, but that was new, so that it was easier for other people to replicate. I found this 3x3 fence post offcut and just drove a wedge down it to split it because I thought it had some interesting grain. So then I got to the process of distressing it. Make sure that you open loads of windows, or ideally do this outside. I didn't because it was raining. I mean, if you turn the extractor hood on really high, no, definitely don't do it over the stove, that's a bad idea. And if you're still watching, you'll realise that the zip on my flies is awful, but I'd filmed all the footage with them low, so this is what you've got to deal with. So I just used this combination square as a visual guide so I could make sure that I was going as close to vertical as I could. Leave all the measurements in the description if it's any help. So I did think there was going to be a problem actually, which was that it's really hard to line up all of the drilling holes with a material like glass, so a pillar drill or some sort of drilling rig would be really useful if you were making this. Also, the spade bits that I used are a little bit rough, and ideally they're for cutting a hole completely through timber, like through a joist, putting a cable through it. One of these Forstner or hinge cutter bits I think would be a lot better because it would leave a flat bottom to the hole. The spade bits can sometimes rip out a chunk of timber, and that just means that you can't ever then get your test tubes to sit at the right height, because it's just so hard to accurately drill the depth, even if you put a depth gauge onto your drill. Overall, I'm pretty happy with it, so I don't want to be too critical, but if you're thinking about making something like this, then let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. And thanks again for watching.